I don't know much about Freeze because he's like, he had a past of being on bad teams or teams that finished in relegations. So he had the excuse of being a good player on a bad team. Being on H2K is his chance to showcase if he is good or not.
We wanted more from the H2K AD carry, and we got it.
I would say they're the best bot lane now in Europe, for sure.
And Mickey does stop snare. Great silence, quick first blood, double kill. Best bot lane in EU.
I think Steelback is a really good AD carry actually. He was one of the best last split.
Triple kill for Steelback. He's going to find the next one onto Camashot. And this is just going to straight up be the clean ace. Another quadra kill for Steelback.
Gonna be all by his lonesome. A triple kill for Rales.
All right, everyone back up. Let's start something on the kill. Pentakill.
But it's a triple kill for Copy. And this will leave the lost Nexus to the target. It's a quadra kill for Copy.
Gentlemen, and welcome to the European LCS. The heat is on as we near the tail end of week 3, and as you can see, everyone is hyped up in the studio for day 2. So as G2 was chilling by the pool a bit earlier, preparing for their match today, all smiles, and of course, our Roccat players in the yellow jerseys. We'll talk a bit more about that later as they go up against Schalke 04, but I guess you can guess what that is about. Hello, I'm EpicSkillshot supporter, joined on the analyst desk by my all-support duo lane, Mitch Kreppel-Voorspoels and Martin de Fischio Lunge.
I'm an AD carry now, so you might want to change that intro.
That's also why he asked me to duo, and then I say no.
Yeah, this keeps happening.
You could double support though.
Yeah.
Technically.
Well, there'll be a carry at least.
Yeah, I guess.
But I feel supported, so that's great. After yesterday's games, which included 4 2-0 sweeps, the standings have officially been shaken up. Well, anything but the top of the tables. G2 is still there, yet Fnatic is in 2nd, H2K in 3rd, and our Splice guys made it to 4th.
Yeah, very surprising. Didn't really expect that. Obviously, wanted some growth with Mickey X, but it seems like to actually alluded to in PGL yesterday is, you know, they're clicking, they're coming together, and then they have also the window now for individual plays from their support.
Yeah, definitely a good upgrade support-wise. I'm looking at the middle of the pack though with these teams like Roccat, Vitality, Origin in there right now, all sitting as playoff teams potentially, and I actually think the overall level of our middle of the pack teams is very low at the moment, because like Vitality is not playing great. Origin obviously still trying to find a way to play with Xpeke, and Roccat, we see them lose yesterday. So I want to see more consistency. I want to see a better team in the middle of the pack kind of emerge and then become a clear playoff team.
Yeah, there's definitely room to step up if you're one of these teams, because there's so many teams that we keep talking about, like, yeah, this team could make it to playoffs, could make it to playoffs. The only team we kind of stopped saying that about is Unicorns of Love, and even then there is a world where they can make it to playoffs. So we have like three extra spots for like the 7 remaining teams, and we can only hand out 3 of them if you lock in H2K, Fnatic, and G2 as in guaranteed playoff spots. So that's going to be very interesting how that develops through the rest of the season.
Well, the Unicorns of Love, they'll have to start right now if they want to vie for that playoff spot. They'll be up against G2 in the arena in the first
Let's start
match
next week.
You know, on EULCS 1, where they'll be followed by a clash between Splice and Fnatic. Took me a while to get that. Meanwhile, Roccat will start the day against Schalke 04 on EULCS 2, and then we will see Vitality versus H2K. Yeah, good point. Hard match for them, for the UOL.
Yeah, it's almost impossible, especially if I only caught glimpses yesterday of how G2 performed, and I rewatched a little bit.
Just
the game
against
H2K was at least competitive in the first match, because they kind of lost out. But then the second game, tuned in for 10 minutes, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm done here.
I mean, 5 minutes and you were done, honestly. 6-0 already at that point. Just completely stomped H2K. And yeah, okay, they are weaker because of the top lane change, but in a few weeks, I think they're going to be strong. Even stronger, I mean. I think they are the best team clear-cut in Europe at the moment, even though maybe a little bit too overconfident from time to time. But therefore, losing a few games is actually super good for these guys, because you learn way more.
So you guys say that the middle of the pack is not as strong as you'd want them to be. Does the same go for the top teams, even though they're top teams? Do you want to see even cleaner play from them?
I do, at least. I think all our top teams can get way better, and I think they will get way better once we get closer to playoffs. Again, it's the same European problem where we're so slow when it comes to starting a split, because everyone just went on holiday and a lot of roster changes happened as well. So it takes a lot of time. I think once we get to playoffs, we will have some good teams. I don't think we will have 6 good teams. I think we'll have maybe 3 or 4.
Also, the teams that did opt in for like early practice, you know, Schalke came into the season saying we've played over 100 scrims. Splice as well. None of those teams went to Korea, for example, to bootcamp. If we contrast to over in North America, I think 4, 5, 6 teams even just went to went to Korea, not only for the solo queue environment, but also just for the scrims there, and they just were more prepared for the start of the split, and that's why the level right now, on average, and both at the top in North America, just simply is higher.
Yeah, we'll see how everything evolves today and all week long. We've also been checking in with you guys. I've been asking you to join us for the European LCS. So snap a selfie and share your experience. And here is one from @StressCast, who is polished and ready to roll. They're all doing their hair. Can you make? I mean, they're doing their hair, and he's doing his beard.
Yeah, I mean, technically his hair as well.
Pyra's doing his ears.
I think Pyra's a little bit confused here. He's not really too sure what's going on.
Okay, so we definitely want you guys to send us pictures.
Better
So be
pictures,
sure
please.
To tweet
Better.
@LL Esports with the hashtag HowIEULCS, and we'll see how you're tuning in, doing your hair or whatnot later today. For now, though, let's focus in on our first matchup of the day. We're going to start with the Unicorns of Love taking on G2. We touched on it already. It's going to be a tough one for the Unicorns of Love. Yesterday, 0-2 lost to Vitality. Although the level wasn't extremely low, but the Baron calls, man.
I thought this series would be slightly worse than it turned out to be.
Yeah.
I think Unicorns of Love in their week of practice worked on their fundamentals of executing the 1-3-1, but they couldn't take the next step because they didn't have the necessary vision. And then game 1, they kind of just, at one point, forgot to kind of keep their eyes on Baron, and Vitality snuck it. Game 2, they made a little bit of a change, went for the Zyra support, and Hillsang, while he was great in fights that he could disengage in, he simply got caught way too often, and not looking too great right now.
No, and I mean the same for everyone else on this team. They lost every single game they played the last 3 series now, 0-6 basically. Only had that 2-0 versus Origin, where luckily they got some points. I think Unicorns right now, they are the weakest team in Europe. Yeah, okay, you can make the excuses, a lot of roster changes for this team, and a lot of things need to work on, but Unicorns has never been a lineup or an organization where I felt like we saw massive growth over a split. So the fact they're starting out this poorly makes me really concerned, because I actually don't see them improve a crazy amount, and I think they will just be going down to fight for a promotion tournament, even though we're only in week 3.
Yeah, because previous splits, they did always have that kind of good start.
Started
that gave
well,
them a
yeah.
buffer
Exactly.
up to playoffs. We'll see what they can do. As said, it'll be a tough one. They're up against G2, of course, the #1, the leaders in the EULCS. Yesterday versus H2K in the match of the week. One stomp, one got stomped, all square.
Yeah, I mean, the stomp in the game 1 is a little bit harsh, I feel, because it was actually a very, very good game, the first one. Even though there were 0 kills, like a lot of good macro moves from 2 teams. And then 20 minutes in, they got caught out by a bot ulti from Vander, where 2 guys had flash and didn't use it, expect and trick. And that kind of cost everything, because they had this like 1-3-1 snowball comp that then broke down completely. Second game, obviously, was just a complete stomp. So I think G2 can be somewhat happy still with a 1-1 against an H2K team who didn't make any changes. And now against Unicorns, they have to just 2-0, and they have to honestly destroy them if we look at the fact that #1 versus #10.
Yeah, UOL versus G2 on EULCS 1, but turning to the clash about to take place over in the studio on EULCS 2 between Roccat and Schalke. Well, this is a story of 2 teams that we've built careful hype around, maybe around Schalke actually a decent amount of hype, but it seems to have died down. There is a special one, and this one we saw it in the video starting. There is the yellow jerseys from the side of Roccat, which is alluring to the Dortmund-Schalke rivalry, the biggest rivalry in the Bundesliga, football fever all around. And I actually saw Gilius in the makeup room. He spotted the jerseys and he said, "Oh, I'm tilted already." Yeah. So it does seem to be having an effect.
Well, I mean, anything can tilt Gilius at this point. But yeah, both these teams have a lot to work on. For Schalke, it is consistency in their players. Throughout the history of both Schalke and Elements, I feel they've always had matches where single players would just perform very subpar. Just like think of AK last split, now Gilius is going down. They really need consistency in their players. Whereas on the other side, Roccat, yeah, they just really need to fix their early game. It was horrendous yesterday. No proactivity, no initiative whatsoever. I talked to Betsy in the makeup room. I was like, you guys should go over the replay, pause it, and just ask every single player here, what are your plans for the next 5 minutes? He told me, yeah, we did that. It was horrendous. We were working on it. So they're looking to fix it. They were pretty ashamed of their performance yesterday, but I don't know how quick you can fix that.
No, my problem is the fact that they started this split being really bad in the early game. They said after week 1, we are bad in the early game. We're now 2 weeks later, and we still see them be really bad in the early game. We don't even see any signs of progression.
Yeah, I don't even mind being bad. At least if
At
you're
least they
proactive,
slowly get a little bit better and then try some plays.
if you're proactive and you fail, by all means, you know, at least you tried. But they don't try anything.
No, indeed, it was not good for them yesterday in the early game. And Schalke might actually have a chance in that if they build up any kind of a lead.
Oh, it's a 50-50. Yeah.
It is a 50-50, but I feel like we even had more hype for Schalke after the first week, did very well. And then Gilius, I know we keep repeating it, but he has been the kind of factor that made it swing in one or the other direction for them.
I mean, that's the cool and bad thing, I guess. If you start out really well and also you're very outspoken, you know, we will look at you and we will judge your performance. He said coming into the split, this was going to be his split, right? Yeah. And he had a great start, so we praised him because he played well and he set up a lot of plays for Schalke in the early game. It's just not been the same ever since. He's actually not been performing that well. He obviously was very vocal yesterday about missing smites. I don't really want to blame too much on a jungler missing a 50-50 smite here and there. It happened multiple times. I feel like the team instead should put themselves in a situation where you don't have the 50-50 smite.
Yeah, definitely good. Like, tall trees will always catch a lot of wind. So Gilius, if he's outspoken, he will, like, obviously if you win then, you were right. If you lose a lot, you get a lot of flack. But as an organization and even as a team, like, if your games get decided by these vague moments where a single player needs to have the play or not, and then I think you did something wrong with the setup. Like a 50-50 Baron, as the Fisher alluded to, that should never happen.
Fnatic actually had the same scenario. They had a 50-50 Dragon and a Baron.
Which is why it wasn't a good game. You know, it was exciting in the end, but it wasn't great. It wasn't very high level. Fnatic said it as well. I think Schalke should maybe watch some replays, pause, go 2 minutes back and be like,
same thing.
Why are we in this situation? How did this 50-50 smite even happen? Same thing, obviously, for every single team. That's how you improve.
Turns out you have to watch replays to get better. Thank you guys so much. True support
Just like casting.
right here. With the teams about to hit picks and bans, we're going to head inside and meet our casters.